and that I'd now found this new way of eat more Mediterranean food, work out less, and what I mean by that is rest days. Great, because really I'm never hungry now. Welcome to the Zest Method channel. I'm Amelia, an ex-army doctor and founder of a preventative medicine coaching business called, you guessed it, the Zest Method. I have an insatiable curiosity about the subconscious mind and self-betterment, and so I'm hoping to, through this medium, share what I learn and hopefully help humans feel better, not perfect. Episode 14. Eat more and work out less. Now, you may have noticed from last week, I was talking about how the eat less calories and burn more model is flawed. And that I'd now found this new way of keeping your insulin low, intermittent fasting, Mediterranean diet, build muscle, that actually meant I could almost double the amount of food I ate, which was great because really I'm never hungry now. And I don't have any hunger crashes. And also allows me to perhaps have a bit more of a cheat day or cheat meals more frequently and not panic about it or worry that it's going to go straight to the waistline. And that sort of meant that for the last 2 years I've entered the maintenance phase, which is really, really lovely. And it helps me feel a bit more relaxed when it comes to my nutrition and exercise program. Because when life gets busy, sometimes you have to skip the workout or you don't have time to meal prep on a Sunday and you have to grab an ultra-processed food takeaway box. But that's fine because generally 9 out of 10 times it'll be the healthier option. And where am I going with that? Something to do with that point. So, Ben, we can cut that bit out. What am I trying to say? I don't know. Maybe keep it in. Now. Oh yeah, that's the point. No, Ben, we'll keep it in. Might as well. We're all human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect on here. So as a result, I began to get bits of complacent and I felt kind of invincible. And as I started really getting the hang of it, working out more and more and more, because I was building muscle, seeing the results, that I then almost started to completely neglect rest days. And as I had alluded to in the previous conversation, is that one of the things that spikes insulin can be stress and chronic sleep deprivation. And I'm guilty of being a social butterfly, taking on hobbies, full-time job, entrepreneurship, and sports. So I found that I began to really get no rest. And if I really had a night in by myself, I kind of feel guilty that I should be doing something, felt a bit uncool or lame. I was like, well, everyone else is going out in London, so I should be too. And also I had a lovely problem of lots of friends to see. But as a result, I've noticed that my injury rate began to increase, which hadn't happened for a long time since I'd started the gym, to build muscle around the joints to discourage such a thing. Because when I only did cardio and ran, I literally ran my knee into the ground and had to have operation age 19, which just really shouldn't have happened in the first place. So as a consequence, I then hurt my foot and had to go into crutches and a boot, which really made me come to a standstill. And I found that really, really hard for the first week because you have your endorphins that completely crash and you feel like lazy shit and you feel as if you can't eat much because you're just going to put on weight because you're so sedentary. But what I found actually happened last October was something really, really, really miraculous, which took me completely by surprise, is that I lost weight, appetite increased, and when I say lost weight, it was more sort of that sort of belly fat around the midriff, which we now associate with cortisol and to do with stress rather than actually weight gain. Started looking very well, sleeping so deeply, despite doing nothing all day, i.e. just tapping on my computer for 10 hours because I could still do my telephone appointments. I was sleeping so well. And people would say to me, oh, you look, what's been going on? You're glowing. And I just thought to myself, why on earth is this happening when I'm technically not doing anything? I'm ground to a halt cancelled all socials, not going on the tube or anything because it's just such a cumbersome thing to do with a boot and crutches. Why have all these physiological changes happened and in such a short amount of time? So then, because I am curious-minded, and I was like, okay, well, let's just investigate this and maybe make yourself into a kind of case study. And I started to look more into stress, cortisol, because I had deep down thought to myself, I wonder whether you are chronically stressed, Amelia, but because you can still do everything, it doesn't necessarily matter. But the only clue to me a couple of years ago was my hair was beginning to thin. And that's because I used to have very, very, very thick hair. And I was like, I wonder why it's thinning. And I just think, I wonder whether that's stress or cortisol. But again, because I felt invincible, doing everything, taking everything on board, saying, yes, girl, kind of ignored it until I was then injured. And I sort of went down this rabbit hole and really haven't come out of it since. And essentially, I found out that when you perhaps live a really busy lifestyle, that it goes back to that sort of whole old age adage we all know about, that back in the caveman days, if you had acute stress, cortisol would shoot up, which is really beneficial for you to be able to run and fight or flight or run away from the lion, and then when it comes back down, whereas of course in this modern day society, chronic stress levels exist, and it's the email, it's the notification, it's the news, it's all this bombardment and stimulation from so much external stimuli, and everything's so fast-paced and the amount of notifications we get a day, that actually these cortisol levels just constantly run high, and because that becomes almost the new baseline, you don't necessarily feel it. And I always used to have to get a massage every month because I'd have so many knots in my sort of shoulder girdle region. After a patient clinic all day, I kind of feel as if I was just shaking, but I almost associate that with feeling a bit high of, oh my God, I've achieved so much today. And because I was still able to do everything I wanted to do, it was absolutely fine. I could live off about sort of 6 hours sleep. Always found it difficult to get to sleep. So all these things are beginning to sort of pull together, thinking, oh, I wonder whether there's a correlation here to just stress. And so I started investigating, and it turned out that I most likely have functional hypercortisolism, which is a mouthful to essentially say that from my lifestyle I have induced high cortisol. It isn't from an actual organic endocrine issue. It's just that functionally I have induced it myself, which was empowering because it meant I probably could do something about it. But also I thought, wow, I can't believe this has had to happen for me to find out I'm chronically stressed. And it's really interesting now when I speak to patients that they'll be presenting with physical ailments. But now I'm looking at it through the lens of, I wonder whether this is stress physically manifesting itself. Some people have sciatica or chest pain or migraines, and I'm wondering, I wonder whether this is actually chronic stress. Anyway, so I then built sort of a hypothesis around this. I mean, I don't really know whether this is actually still true, but to me, it makes a lot of sense. And that's when I spoke to Dr. Lamy about the fact that when I just thought, well, I wonder whether I have low estrogen and has impacted my bones because of past eating habits, but also the cortisol impacts on estrogen, etc. So I took myself along for a blood test and a equivalent of a DEXA scan to assess my bone mass density. And to my horror, it came back almost confirming my hypothesis that I had low estrogen and low bone mass density. So it wasn't quite the brittle bone disease of osteoporosis at the stage before osteopenia. So I remember saying to the sonographer at the time, can I reverse this? He said, yes, you can. You just need to make sure you build muscle, eat more. Which I thought, okay, well, that's what I'm going to try and do. Point of this episode was last week we were talking about how you can actually start sort of eating more and building muscle, etc. This is almost running on that same theme, that I almost needed to start eating more and moving less. So I went then down to sort of research, well, how do you get your stress levels low in this society, in this modern era? How do you shield yourself from all these notifications, etc.? And it was quite easy to put in two rest days, for example, into my workout schedule. But that's what then I started, well, look into breath work and look into meditation. And in episode 2, I talked about my Vipassana meditation trip, which has honestly been life-changing, and that has helped me implement meditation as a daily practice into my routine. And coupled with the rest days, eating well, prioritising sleep, saying no to more social events, and I suppose looking into this breath work, which when I spoke to Dr. Laura Elliott about the polyvagal theory and understanding how the vagus nerve or improving vagal tone through breath work can actually start reducing stress levels, it's been a sort of a real journey, and I'm really hoping, I've no idea whether results will work, but I'm going to redo my blood tests in October to see whether the estrogen has come up and whether I have managed to reverse the low bone mass density. I'll keep you posted. I have no idea whether it has worked, and one of my friends did say, Amelia, don't forget that if it has been suppressed for many, well, probably 2 decades now of you being just go all the time, perhaps set your expectations that estrogen may not come up in just 12 months, which is a really fair point because we all expect instant kind of results. But I think maybe just turning back to the viewer, whoever actually might be listening still, who knows. Everyone says they're not stressed, but I want just pay attention that when, at the end of the day, how do you actually feel? Like check in, is there any tension in your neck or your shoulders? How many times have you looked at that phone today? Or how many times has the phone gone off where you're mid-activity and then suddenly it pings, there's a vibration, it's a dopamine hit because you want to look. Who's messaged me? What's going on? Oh my gosh, the news. So pay attention to that. So I think almost just start leading life with intention. Just start becoming aware of how busy you actually are. And when you do have some downtime or alone time, how do you use it? Are you numbing yourself by doom scrolling? Or are you just only watching TV, etc.? How fast is your respiratory rate? How fast is your heart rate when it's completely at rest? There's all these little physiological or physical cues that you could start paying attention to see whether you're stressed as well. And if you are, then it may be a good idea to start looking into, almost if you were to research how to increase my vagal tone or breath work to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, all these kind of buzzwords that would probably get you onto the journey of turning around your cortisol, just like I am. So I'm going to do it, retest it all in October, so no doubt I'll bring an episode about that around that time. It'd be really, really interesting to see whether I have a formula that works, because if I have, that is also very exciting to bring to the people. I think that's all I've got to say. So then what was my final key summaries for here then? Yeah, so the obvious of eat more Mediterranean food, work out less, and what I mean by that is rest days. Reduce stress, obvious one. Really, really start prioritising sleep. I think everyone's talking about the importance of sleep now, but I used to also say that to my patients and say that to my friends, and then I really wasn't doing it myself, and that's what led to an injury. So really, really take sleep seriously. Wake up at the same time every day, no matter whether it's weekday or weekend. So yes, on a Sunday, I will still wake up at 6:42. So precise, I know, so that my body then knows where it stands, and all the cells with their own circadian rhythms can lock in and get in sync. And see how you get on. All right, 8 minutes. Okay, so really running out of time. Thank you for listening, and yeah, back next week.